So welcome to Orthodontic treatment of sleep apnea and path to dentist. This event is co-hosted by Be the Change Foundation, A2C Academy, and Kairos. And Dr. Elizabeth Xu will have a fire chat with Dr. Michael Songwu, who graduated from Harvard School of Dental Medicine. All right, let's come to see our agenda first. So we'll introduce Dr. Lee and Dr. Songwu, and then Dr. Lee will interview Dr. Songwu. And we'll have a Q&A for Dr. Songwu. And after that, we'll introduce Be the Change Foundation and also Be the Change Foundation's research project on sleep apnea. And at last, we'll have Kairos introduce their AI-powered college application platform. And then we'll have the Q&A at last. So some introduction about Elizabeth first. So Dr. Elizabeth, everyone has to call her Dr. Lee, is the chairman of Be the Change Foundation. She is also actually a public company board member and the co-founder and CEO of A2C Academy. She has served as 2 CTO positions of billion-dollar revenue companies, CP Group and BMC Software. Dr. Lee has taught at Stanford University for 6 years about leadership and currently is a guest lecturer at Stanford University teaching digital transformation at the Department of Engineering Management Science. She's also the advisor for MIT Innovation Initiatives. She's a trailblazer, leading a creative and also proof path to the top. So Dr. Lee actually lives by the credo of the 4 L's, live to her fullest potential, love and enable others to reach their fullest potential, and also learn continuously and leave a legacy. All right, so now we introduce Dr. Michael Songwu. He's a board and certified specialist in orthodontics for children and adults. He graduated from the Harvard School of Dental Medicine, earning a certificate in orthodontics, and received his Master of Medical Sciences from Harvard University. As a native of California, Dr. Song graduated from the University of Southern California School of Dentistry at the top of his class. Following graduation, Dr. Song entered active duty in the United States Army and served 4 distinguished years practicing both general and pediatric dentistry. He then spent 3 years at Harvard fulfilling his dream of becoming an orthodontist. As a first-year resident, Dr. Songwu was selected to pursue the leadership track at Harvard, a position given to only 1 advanced graduate resident per year. This opportunity allowed him to co-found a dental startup at the Harvard Innovation Lab and complete courses at Harvard Medical School, Harvard Business School, and MIT. So when not seeing patients, Dr. Songwu enjoys spending time with his wife, Yuna, and their 3 young children. Dr. Songwu loves to sing and dance. As a college student, he danced competitively on a hip-hop dance team for 3 years. He's also a big fan of K-pop and karaoke. All that, that's about them. So I'll give the stage to Dr. Lee and Dr. Songwu.
All right. Thank you. This is our next week's event that is called a 5 strategy to get into the C-suite and the boardroom, because I really want to help as many people as possible to get into the C-suite and the boardroom and to really get your voice out. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I want to talk to someone that whom I just really I must say that I really respect and also trust. The reason I said I trust is, you said, how do you trust orthodontics? Because all 4 of our family members went to Dr. Songwu and Dr. Pauli's office. And I'll tell you a little bit of story about, we have 2 things that really very, very unique to this office. So when I moved to the Bay Area, that's in 1995, I need to have orthodontic treatment. I had 1 tooth that was pretty good, the other one was not good. All the orthodontics saying they need to pull out my good one and then leave the bad one. I was like, why are you doing this? And then the bad one will not last long. So, and I interviewed about the 10 orthodontics. I finally found Dr. Pauli. He said, this makes sense. I'll do this for you. I have to tell you that he marked carefully about which tooth should be extracted. When I went to the surgeon, he automatically killed my good tooth. And fortunately, I caught that mistake. I said, oh, I'm sorry that Dr. Pauli really marked the other tooth. So I will say that from the very beginning, I really trust Dr. Pauli and Dr. Sun Wu's office. And also my younger son, who was diagnosed by many doctors as a mysterious seizure. And then later on, we went to see Dr. Kotai at the Stanford, and Dr. Kotai really diagnosed my son like a mysterious every another week. He passed out in the middle of the night, and as the children's sleep apnea, severe one. So he had a surgery. And then the fortunate thing is I talked to Dr. Pauli, and Dr. Pauli, which was Dr. Sun Wu's partner, and he said you should have the treatment that. Since he was little, he was 6-7 years old, you should have his airway opened up. So I think Dr. Pauli and also Dr. Sun Wu helped my son to open up the airway. In order to raise the awareness of children's sleep apnea, we co-founded the Be the Change Foundation. I mean, my son and I and several other people. And then that's why we're having this talk. So Be the Change Foundation and also my whole family has very deep relationship with Dr. Sun Wu and Dr. Pauli's office. And we cannot thank this office enough because the benefit we got and also their dedication. I think that their dedication is so wonderful. I must share openly. And because I think the good things should be shared with their friends and family and your community. And without that, I want to ask Dr. Sun Wu, please tell us about your journey, because you went to Harvard, you went to Army. Sometimes people think Army and orthodontic school and it doesn't, and Harvard, it doesn't mix. So please tell us your life, like how did you come up with the Army idea and also finally go to Harvard? And what was your dream and how did you achieve that? Please tell us your life story.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's I'm very honored to be a part of this. Dr. Liz, as you know, I've known you and your family, your beautiful family for many years now, and so I have the deepest respect for you, your husband, for Joey, who I miss. I haven't seen for a while, but I appreciate the opportunity. So, you know, there was nothing really set in stone in growing up. I didn't know I wanted to be a dentist. I didn't know I wanted to be an orthodontist. I didn't know I wanted to be in the Army, but it just kind of worked out that way. I started working at a dental office in college, and I thought, hey, this looks like a promising career and something I could probably do. So I applied to dental schools. I was accepted to USC, and then I went there, and you know, still kind of figuring out my path and trying to find my way professionally. And so at the time, when I had gotten into dental school, I didn't realize how expensive it was. So I got there, and when they let us know, you know, the cost of education, how much student loan debt we'd have, I thought, wow, that's astronomical. So I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. There was a Army recruiter standing outside of the school, and he said that, hey, you know, if you sign this paper, then we'll pay for your school. And so I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. And at the time, my younger brother had just entered his first year at West Point Military Academy. So I kind of had the Army on my mind and thought that it was a cool thing and might be a good experience. So I signed up, and it could have been a bad experience. Thankfully, it was a wonderful experience. I finished dental school. I entered the Army, and I loved it. It was fantastic. I was able to experience the military culture, the lifestyle, meet these amazing people, mentors, leaders. I was able to travel quite a bit, and completed my 4 years. It just flew by. And my wife Yuna and I, we had just such a wonderful time, and we were committed to stay, but I knew that I wanted to pursue orthodontics. That was after practicing dentistry for a few years. I knew that was my passion, my dream. So I applied to civilian orthodontic residencies, and after when I had the acceptance from Harvard, then I decided it was time to hang up my boots and get back into the real civilian world. And so we did that. We packed up all our stuff, my family, my children. We moved to Boston, lived there for 3 years, absolutely loved it. And then decided that we wanted to move back to California afterwards. And after working for a little bit, I crossed paths with Dr. Paul Lee, and that was a huge blessing for me. And the rest is history. He transitioned the office to me after several years, and now I'm here, and I get to meet such wonderful people like Dr. Liz and new patients every day. And that's where we are.
So, Dr. Sung-Woo, and I still remember that Dr. Paul Lee, we later on became friends, and then Dr. Paul Lee just said, "Oh, I found the perfect person to take over my office." He was so excited, and he said, "You should try it." And because my son at that time was still in the active treatment with you guys, and then I met you. It was the first time. I said, "Whoa, lucky you." I really joke with Dr. Pauly. I say, "Lucky you. You really found someone who has the integrity and also the dedication and the fine skill that orthodontics requires." And he said, "Yeah, everything is totally aligned." So I want to ask you one more question before we get into the children's sleep apnea. So when you were at Harvard, you went to leadership program, and you stood out in such a different environment, because Harvard, people think that's full with mainstream Caucasian and other people that who has a very different background as Asian background. Asians are viewed as very quiet people, but you were not. You stood out, and please tell us your experience. How and what did you do to stand out at Harvard?
Oh, that's I don't know. I just try to. I knew that my time there would go by fast, and especially after experiencing dental college and then dental school and then the Army, I knew that 3 years will fly by in the blink of an eye. And so I wanted to really take advantage of every opportunity I had, because I knew that there was also a possibility that I would leave Boston after 3 years. So anything that was available, all the resources that were there, I tried to really dive right in and take advantage of every opportunity they have to offer. And so, the leadership track was another opportunity that I knew would be a lot of work, but at the same time would be, I think, very fulfilling, just to grow and to thrive as a leader, as a professional. And so I applied for it, thankfully was accepted. I think that the military experience in particular really helped with my with developing as a leader, and also just being able to adapt to different environments. You know, in the military, my wife and I moved almost 8 or 9 times, and so we had to kind of really figure things out as things came along. And so I think that helped, but I wanted to make the best, because now, even looking back, those 3 years was like a dream. You know, it just flew by, and I wish I had even experienced more and try to do more things out there, meet more people, and experience more stuff. The opportunity is endless out in that area.
Yeah, I really agree with you that when you decided that the time is short, you actually made a choice to stand out. You made a choice not to be quiet, and you made a choice to participate as many activities as you could, right? I think that all of us as Asian, we need to make a choice and make a decision that you want to stand out. Make a decision you really want to contribute, that you want to participate, you want to get your voice out, right? Once you make that choice, and then you will do differently. And if you read a book called Good to Great, and one point is greatness is by choice, that you choose to pursue the greatness. Because when I went to see Dr. Sung Woo like 2-3 weeks ago for my kind of a little bit problem, and I can still tell that his dedication and his skill set is even better than I first time met him. So this is why I think that from that, I think this is really, really great. I want to play a short video before we talk about the children's sleep apnea. I want to play a short video. Actually, this short video is done by a student, was done by a student who is a volunteer at the Be the Change Foundation. And Ray is our VP of Operation at the Be the Change Foundation. Right now, we have more than 200 students who are really contributing and volunteer there. Let's see the short video that's done by the student.
Snoring Isn't Funny by Anthony Pan and William Chen. Snoring Isn't Funny is a story about Timmy, a young boy who suffers from sleep apnea. This story details his experience with the condition and his journey to recovery. This book also highlights the symptoms, treatment, and things to look out for when dealing with sleep apnea. This is Tiny Timmy. Tiny Timmy has sleep apnea. This means when he goes to sleep, he snores and has trouble breathing. Every night, Timmy tosses and turns, wets his bed, but no matter what he tries, he can't fall asleep. One day, Tiny Timmy went over to a sleepover with his friends. After watching a movie and playing some games, he was ready to go to bed. Tiny Timmy dozed off first, but he woke up to the sound of laughter. He had been snoring loudly, and his friends were laughing at him. Only his friend Jeffrey didn't laugh. At the end of the sleepover, Jeffrey told Tiny Timmy's mom and dad, "Tiny Timmy isn't sleeping well. Is there any way to help him?" The next day, Tiny Timmy's parents took him to a doctor. After checking him, the doctor told Timmy, "You have ADHD." ADHD is when someone has trouble focusing and can be distracted easily. The doctor thought Timmy had trouble sleeping because he couldn't sit still. Tiny Timmy took the pills the doctor gave him and went home. That night, Timmy went to bed hoping for the best. Although Timmy took the pills, he still could not fall asleep that night. Something was wrong. Tiny Timmy told his parents, and they went to see another doctor. This time, it was an ear, nose, throat doctor. After checking Timmy, the doctor said, "You have sleep apnea." Sleep apnea is when someone has trouble breathing when they sleep. The doctor thought Timmy had trouble sleeping because of breathing issues. The doctor said that Tiny Timmy should get surgery. So Tiny Timmy had the surgery. After, Tiny Timmy's mom and dad took him home. That night, Timmy went to bed, hoping for the best. Tiny Timmy woke up the next morning feeling great. From that day on, Tiny Timmy had no problem getting a good night's rest and always woke up full of energy.
So I have to say that Tiny Timmy was lucky because Timmy got his friend Jeffrey, and then he went to see the doctor. And my son was not that lucky. We went to see more than 20 doctors. None of the doctors diagnosed him as a sleep apnea. And he was not diagnosed as ADHD either, because his problem was so severe, he could not even walk like 50 steps at a time. So we were lucky. Finally, I said, I'm not going to give up. So I took him to see the ENT doctor because I felt that he had a sleep problem. He snored. And after the surgery, and then the doctor still said that your son's airway is pretty small. Even he took his adenoid and throw out. So now the story is I talked to Dr. Pauly, and I want to ask Dr. Sun Wu, about the children's sleep apnea or anything you want to share, and also any treatment that Joey went through and the other patients went through that you would recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. So apnea, sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea is a big problem with very big consequences. Affects children and adults of all ages. Something that we pay very close attention to, that we have a lot of adult patients who are sent to us by their physicians or sleep surgeons because they have diagnosed apnea and they have serious health conditions that they feel are related, including cardiovascular, diabetes, mental health. A lot of patients have to quit their jobs, drop out of school. Women have difficulty getting pregnant. And so they're sent to us so that we can prepare them for specific jaw surgeries, whether it be surgical expansion or full maxillary mandibular advancement surgeries. And a lot of them do very well afterwards. Obviously, I'm not a physician, but the gold standard of treatment is using a CPAP machine. But for a lot of these patients with severe apnea, or even mild to moderate, that's not tolerable or it's not working out well for them. So the next option is to have a full jaw surgery. And so for our young growing patients, children, adolescents, if we see very similar skeletal patterns, especially very narrow upper jaw or large overbites, then we ask the parents a series of questions to kind of delve deeper to see if they may have an apnea, especially if their parents are diagnosed, because the signs and symptoms for pediatric patients are very different than adult patients. For adults, difficulty sleeping, daytime sleepiness, obesity. But for our children and adolescents, it's more so behavior issues such as difficulty paying attention or concentration, and also hyperactivity. And then, of course, failure to thrive, or in other words, just lack of growth. And so as an orthodontist, or even for any dentist, we're in a position where we see the patients very early on, and we see them very frequently. So it's always good for us to at least be aware, so that we can inform the family that if we feel there might be an issue, that they should have further evaluation by their physician or ENT or sleep surgeons. And then from a treatment perspective, there's a lot that we can do that can help to increase the airway volume in 3 dimensions. Or at a very minimum, we want to be aware that to not make it smaller, to not make their airways smaller. Specifically, like for Joey and for a lot of patients, arch development using expanders, or to open up the nasal suture, the mid-palatine suture, open up that nasal cavity. We have found that patients respond very well. We hear all the time from patients and from parents that snoring has decreased quite a bit, if not gone entirely. It's easier for patients to breathe out of their nose and not primarily breathe out of their mouth. They are less sleepy during the day. They're able to concentrate more at school. And just airway awareness, I think that is very important, not only as a doctor, but to give that awareness to the parents and to the family, so that they can keep an eye and monitor, because these treatments are a lot easier done for a growing patient than for an adult patient. If we can avoid these surgeries, for our adult patients, if surgery is the only option, it becomes the best option. But for a lot of our young growing patients, we have so many options available. And so, advancing the lower jaw, or bringing the upper jaw forward, or there's a lot that can be done to increase that airway space, and that has been proven to increase the airway volume in 3 dimensions. And even for our patients who are not diagnosed with apnea or have any apnea issues, we still hear from them that it's easier to breathe out of their nose, or they can keep their mouth closed, and they feel that they are sleeping better through the night, not waking up as often, not having to take naps as often. Now, I cannot say that orthodontic treatment is the end-all cure for apnea, but there's no such thing as too much air. You cannot get sick from too much oxygen. So, if there's a chance to make the airway bigger, then we'd like to do so. But at a very minimum, if we don't want to make it smaller, that's a very, very important part of our practice, and something we pay very close attention to every single patient who comes in the door.
Yeah, I know that you do very thorough evaluation for all our 4 family members, and also the process that my son went through brought forward his jaw, and the extra benefit, he looked more handsome. Right. I think the Dr. Pauly always said, hey, after you go through this, you look more handsome. So which is great. So not only my younger son went to this orthodontic treatment with you, all 3 of us went for the regular orthodontic treatment. And would you please tell us a little bit more about your current practices as well? So what else you do besides your orthodontic treatment for sleep apnea and others? What else? Yeah.
Well, yes. To answer your question, I feel like we provide a large variety of treatments. We try to include every treatment that's, I believe that there is benefit to every treatment in orthodontics, absolutely everything, to include, braces, to early treatment, Invisalign treatment, jaw surgery. Every type of treatment is a tool, and if the more tools you have in the toolbox, the better equipped you are to fix problems. And so at the same time, there's not one treatment will fix everybody, but so there's it's just a matter of, for us, recognizing what would be beneficial, and to take all that into account from the patient, including the patient's airway, and because the mouth and the teeth, they're attached to the entire body, and so we have to take into account the entire patient. But I think that we use at least a little bit of everything within the practice, and I feel that we're good at recognizing the pros and the cons of each treatment modality, each tool in the toolbox.
All right. So thank you, Dr. Seung-Woo. And my sons, I have one more question about this sleep apnea and also the orthodontic treatment, because you have seen so many people, right? And for the kids, between what age will be the best way to go through that treatment, that putting the devices in your mouth to expand your airway for, how long does it take? Would you please tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. That's a great question, and a question that comes up almost daily for us is, when should we bring our children in? So the AAO, the American Association of Orthodontics, recommends the first evaluation by an orthodontist by age 7. And so, every individual is different. We do see patients even younger. Some patients are sent to us age 3 and 4, especially if they have a diagnosed airway issue. But I would say on average, usually it's right about age 7 or 8 that we would, the first evaluation is a good idea. That does not mean that every patient will need to have treatment at that age, but if they do, especially the early treatment, if we're trying to achieve a skeletal change, the younger the better. So if everything is much more predictable when patients are young, like age 7 or 8, to include the palatal expansion or the upper and lower arch development, and bringing the lower jaw forward, and especially underbite patients. Because if we're trying to change the position of the jaw, if we're trying to make an actual skeletal change, which is necessary, especially if we're trying to make a change to the airway, the bone is softer, so it's not as calcified. Once patients reach age 11, 12, then everything becomes harder. It's not as malleable, and so the predictability goes down. So, for example, my oldest son, Braden, I put an expander in his mouth when he was 5 years old. And so, and a lot of it was, he also had the very similar skeletal pattern as a lot of our apnea patients. And so, we put the expander in, and because he was starting to snore more regularly, and it worked out nicely. He had it in place for about 6 months. Snoring has stopped and has not come back. And so not every person needs to be treated at age 5, but he's my son. I can do whatever I want to him. So, but there's value definitely in getting to patients younger. The other part is, if teeth don't have space, they're not going to get any smaller, and they're not going to wait for us to do it. They're coming. They're going to come in, and the more space available, the straighter teeth erupt. And so that means the less tooth movement needs to happen. So, you know, I do feel that at least by age 8 or 9, it's not a bad idea to get an evaluation. You know, we see a lot of patients come in, especially post-COVID, they'll come in age 14 and 15, and there's a lot less tools available for us. And at that time, if we can't create more space, then we're limited to either surgery or putting mini implants in or pulling teeth out. And like I said, if that becomes the only option, then it becomes the best option. But if we can avoid those things, and even better. So, you know, it seems that that's very young, and it's very invasive and difficult, but it could save a lot more discomfort and stress in the future. And so, yeah, I'd say age 7 or 8. But we tell patients quite often that at this time, we don't recommend any type of treatment, but we should see them in 6 months or 1 year and to reevaluate.
Wow, so that's really good to know that if your son or daughter snores, and bring not only to the ENT, but also orthodontics. And if you happen to live in the Bay Area, I highly recommend to see Dr. Sung Woo. I will put Dr. Sung Woo's office information in the chat. So I saw one chat information asked that, is this treatment covered by the medical or dental insurance?
That's a great question. So I have to be quite honest, I'm not the expert with when it comes to insurance. I leave that to our treatment coordinator, Rose, who's phenomenal at that. But for non-jaw surgery patients, it's under the dental insurance. So the only time that I believe the medical insurance is involved is when our adult patients need to have jaw surgery. And so that's why, you know, we always, if that's something that they want to do, we make sure that they see a physician or an oral surgeon that can diagnose and then claim to the insurance before any treatment is started. But aside from that, I believe it's mostly entirely dental insurance.
I see. And one more question is, I know that your staff speaks Chinese, and are there any other language besides Chinese and English? And then what else language do your staff members speak?
So we have staff here who speak Mandarin, Cantonese, Japanese, Spanish, Tagalog, Vietnamese, and I would say minimal Korean. And that that minimal Korean would be myself. For somebody who has lived in Korea for 4 years and who has watched an enormous amount of Korean dramas and who follows K-pop very closely, it's embarrassing to say that my Korean is not as good as it should be. But I do get by. We do have. I think I know enough to discuss, but yes, all the other languages we have very solid knowledge or solid speakers.
Yeah, that's really great. And Ray, do you have other questions for Dr. Sung Woo? And because we're going to share Dr. Sung Woo. So tell us the name of your practice and where the practices are. Just for someone sent me a private message, ask me that where's your office?
Sure, we have, so the office name is called South Bay Orthodontics. We have 2 locations. One is in Milpitas and one is in Cupertino. And we split our time evenly between the 2, so it's the same people. I'm the only orthodontist, and the staff and I we flip-flop in between. And so you see the same people and can be seen at either office. And we're there every week, Monday through Friday. And the website is South Bay, or I'm sorry, orthosouthbay.com.
Yeah, we'll share that in the chat. So with that, we really appreciate Dr. Sun Wu's help for many, many times. He spoke to our students in the past as well. And he's a fantastic orthodontics, and I and my family highly recommended him and his office.
So let's talk about, Be the Change Foundation. We're the host, and how we promote, sleep apnea awareness in our society. So let me share my screen about the foundation.
So, so just a quick question, like Ray. So, if Dr. Sun Wu is busy, and then he can leave, right? If we have other questions, you put in the chat. We can relate to Dr. Michael Sun Wu. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So good to see you. So good to see you, Dr. Liz. Please come by. Please bring Joey by at some point. I'd like to see him.
Sure, we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So let's continue. So Be the Change Foundation is a 501c3 public nonprofit organization. And this is our website, bethechange.foundation. And you can join us here. We have a volunteer program for high school and middle school students, and also adults, and also internship for college students. So our mission is to support and cultivate entrepreneurship, creativity, and leadership for young generations, especially the high school and college students. It is an incubator. So basically, you can see here. So the difference is, other places, they have also the youth leadership program development, everything. But our difference is the students can learn how to start up a company, manage a company while doing the volunteer here. And we have the scholarships, awards, recommendation letters, and student officer positions for outstanding members. So all volunteer hours are eligible for the President Volunteer Service Award. And we want to point out that we foster creativity and leadership for students, not just by providing the classes and training programs, but students can learn these as well as marketing, operation, design, partnership, and fundraising skills through doing things. So here's our team. And you can see here, our chairman is Dr. Elizabeth, and Patricia is our advisor. And we have a few adults mentor who are very passionate about the young generation entrepreneurship. And most of the foundation is the working is executed by the students. So here we have a national student officers, co-presidents, VP of design, marketing, and so on. They are really powerful, and they're leading all the students in the foundation to do everything for the society. And last year we launched a Youthpedia project. So here is our project. This is the biggest one. And you can see here, and from here, actually, we have this youthpedia.org. And it's an independent platform or website. So this Youthpedia is basically an online digital encyclopedia for youth all over the world, where they can broaden their knowledge, discover their interests at early ages, and improve reading literacy skills. So all the digital books are created by high school, middle school, and college students. They cover a broad range of topics like science, literature, geography, history, and so on. And they can also create books of their own stories. You just actually saw, Dr. Elizabeth showed a book. It's called "This is for the Sleep Apnea," right? And that was written and illustrated by a high school student who had, a sleep apnea problem about his own story. So students, can create different topics, and if they don't know how to draw, they can use a picture or other things just to illustrate. Like, for example, about what is atom, right? and about the universe. So they can actually practice the collaboration and leadership together. And currently we have, completed 53 digital books and many more are in progress. And also this website is a great place to, show our authors, illustrators, and narrators. It's basically a marketing, place for them. And it's a great place to build their personal portfolio for college and job applications. And in addition, to this content creation, the entire Usepedia project itself is led and managed by our student leadership team, including, the website, marketing, operation, fundraising, partnership, just like running a startup company. And our goal is to make it as big as Wikipedia worldwide. So basically, in short, Usepedia is a platform for youth to empower youth. So if you are very interested, just, come here, become a creator, and you can, fill the application and join us. And besides, Usepedia, our foundation has other events and also, entrepreneurship projects like sleep apnea awareness, and also the leadership training, those and also the events, right? All of these are created and launched and managed by students. So basically our goal is to grow them by exploring outside their comfort zone. So next, actually, we'll have Stefan, who is one of our key leads, a director in our foundation, but also currently a master student in University of South California to talk about their, our collaboration with, students, with universities, and also our, sleep apnea project. So, I'll give the stage to Stefan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stefan, and thank you, Ray, for introducing me. I am a grad student at the University of Southern California, majoring in applied data science, and also I'm a researcher at the Marshall Marketing and Behavioral Science Research Lab. And also I work at the Be the Change Foundation as the Director of Partnership Outreach for Higher Education Institutions. Currently, we are in partnership with the University of Minnesota, Purdue University, and we are in the process of connecting with other different higher education institutes. So as far as we have been processing this whole partnership, like these relationships, we've already built a very strong and bonded relationship with the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, specifically their leadership minor office. They helped us to, we partnership with them in different ways. There are students coming to us and then do the internship program with us and then manage some of our work together with us. And also they helped us to develop the leadership training programs. For example, our leadership training, our leadership summer camps, and winter workshops, the curriculum are adapted and did some revision from the University of Minnesota's curriculum version. So they are spreading their knowledge and their expertise with us, that the kids at the Be the Change Foundation and other partners, students will be able to engage with all of these programs, which is really awesome. And in the past semester in spring, there were 4 students came in and then did the sleep apnea and awareness website. This is this website, this page right now is the old version, but we have the drafted website already up. So the students did various abundant research on the sleep apnea resources so that we can generate a pretty well-rounded page for folks with concerns about their kids having sleep apnea to reach out. So we have a pretty plentified resource spreadsheet, and also we have a lot of the contact information and some information bullet points so that parents can identify their kids' sleep apnea issues by looking at the website and or going from our website to other resources. So we are playing as a information provider here with a lot of research-based information on there. So that is our sleep apnea project, awareness project with the University of Minnesota. We are still keep reaching out to different higher institutes because they do have really good expertise in various different fields, including youthpedia, include like sleep apnea and digital products and animation. Like, for example, I'm trying to reach out to my own school, the University of Southern California, this year, because they do have research labs and the behavioral science labs, so that they can kind of engage students from the marketing side of the entrepreneurship. Yeah, so like that's basically my work that I'm doing at Be the Change Foundation, and also an invitation to all of us to engage with us, to have all of these awesome opportunities to not just share our knowledge and share our marketing strategies, but also share the connections and relationships that we have here.
Awesome. Thank you, Stefan. And before we move to the next part, we'd like to wrap up our, Be the Change Foundation by playing a video, for you. It's made by students, by the way. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, for get to know Be the Change Foundation.